This one loves Khajiits. What's up, gang? It's Delty from Delty'sGaming.com, and this time I'm going to bring you the Specter Leveling Build. Everything you need to know from getting to 1 to Veteran Rank 1, or level 50. So, just so you know, I've had so much fun with this build, and I remember why it's my favorite build of all time. But it needs some updating, needs some tuning. So if you're like me and you want to start out on a Khajiit Nightblade, leveling up throughout Tamriel, watch this video. I'm going to have part 2 and 3 later on, which will be a complete PvE and a complete PvP version. So this is part 1, leveling, and what I did through the leveling process to reach VR1, 10 hours, and have so much fun. Let's get started. Okay, step 1 in the Specter build is to level up your skill lines all the same. It's super important. If you don't get anything else out of this video, I want you to understand while you're leveling, keep the skill lines leveled. If you put one of each skill line on your bar and then one weapon skill line ability, all of them will level the same. Ideally at endgame, we want to use bow, two-hander, and then dual wield. Two-hander for PvP, dual wield for PvE once we get all the way to endgame. So right now what I did, as soon as I hit level 10, put those 3 points in, I got a siphon ability. I use funnel health. Reason I use funnel health, it's a good self-heal and it's a good dueling ability. So if you're with someone else and you're grinding, it gives them health and that's helpful. Plus it's a good magic dump. So if you have extra magic and you can't have any stamina when you're starting out, use the sucker. It makes a huge difference. Okay, so the ability I use in Shadow is an obvious one, Dark Cloak. You can do the 100% crit one, but I like Dark Cloak, especially in PvP, which I'm going to be doing later on, because it removes those dots. Just to make this clear, this is a PvE leveling build. That's exactly what it's designed for right now. I will have a separate PvP one later. Assassination, Killer's Blade. The reason I took this morph, it scales up with stamina, it hits really hard, it's a finisher, and it gives you back health. You really need that right away, because otherwise you're relying on potions and small heals from funnel health. So start using this at 25% and finish off a target with it. You'll get a big flood of healing. And let's say you're out of stamina and you just hit him with the Killer's Blade, use funnel health because you'll get back health within 2 seconds. And then the ultimate I chose to use is Soul Tether. The reason I want to get this leveled up right away because I want to get the siphoning skill line leveled up as fast as I can. So you could go with an assassination one, but the health that this gives you and a stun is so helpful for leveling. This is your get out of crap card right here. If you're overwhelmed, people are challenging you, boom, pop the sucker, get health, get stun, get distance, game over. And then remember, bow primarily, so we want to use poison injection. This is basically like a range finisher that starts at 50%. Hits like a Mack truck. And then I went with two-hander brawler. So from 1 to 10, you don't have its back bar till 15, but still put this on. You want to level this up. The main reason you're trying to get rally as fast as you can. Rally gives you increased weapon damage. You can get this one of 2 ways as a Nightblade. Well, I guess 1 of 3. Using potions, which we're not going to do at level 30 or whatever. You can get it by a two-hander, or the siphoning ability here, Sap Essence, you can take the other morph, Power Extraction. Though I like Sap Essence for a million different reasons, either way you can do that. But it's a stamina hog on my character. Plus, I need the self-heals as a Nightblade, so Rally is a no-brainer for me. So leveling up, I definitely like two-hander, though I will switch to dual wield when I have some more tools at endgame. So, you're putting Brawler on there because you want to level that sucker fast. Remember, you get anything from this. Put one of each of your weapon skill lines on your bar. Put one each of your class skill lines on your bar. That will level up equally, giving you access to new abilities at the same rate. That is super important for this. So all you do with this build is just use funnel health on enemies. Always keep your poison injection up. You can't even use the third ability. Cloak to get away and get space. Killer's Blade when they get low. And then Panic Button Soul Tether. No, you don't have a lot of AoE yet. But you notice I said yet. Let's go on to the next phase of this ability. Phase 2 here, you're going to see a little bit difference as we're starting to use the two-hander. We're also starting to get access to newer and better skills. So my bow bar stays pretty much the same, one siphoning ability here, but I took off my other skill for Shadow. So I replaced it with the Shadow Ultimate. Remember, I said 6 slots because the Ultimate stays the same. So this is still going to be my main DPS bar. It's still going to level, but it's going to level bow at a lot faster rate. I still have Killer's Blade for self heals, and of course they get on me. So the major AoE that I'm going to get from the bow is Acid Spray. Acid Spray shoots it in front of you, so it's not in a circle like Steel Tornado, but if you get good at angling, this is just as effective. Plus it hits really hard, it snares enemies. So that way you can shoot them with this and peel back. My partner, when I was leveling, had Bombard, which actually immobilizes enemy in place. So essentially, she would immobilize him, I'd Acid Spray him, nuke him down. It was a combo match made in heaven. So I also have Poison Injection on here until you get Lethal Arrow. You notice a trend here. Notice a trend. We're all using poison damage. So I know I'm not going to speak about champion points at great length, but just so you know, you get your main source of damage in the physical damage tree from Thaumaturge. Thaumaturge increases your damage with poison, disease, and magic damage by 25% with 100 points in there. So almost all your damage with this build is coming from poison. So Thaumaturge is your friend. Thaumaturge is your friend. One last thing about champion points. I pretty much do a split on Warlord and Mooncalf, though I will probably go a little bit more in Mooncalf once Update 7 hits and I get a stamina regeneration buff as a Khajiit. So that's on the front bar. Still, you notice what I have. 3 abilities for my class skill line, 2 for my weapon, and then 1 for my two-hander, so it's constantly progressing. On the two-hander bar, I have Ambush, because you're going to need that. Ambush is great because it gives you that empowering, making your next attack. So ideally what I do when mobs get low health is I ambush into a Killer's Blade or a Surprise Attack. Surprise Attack is my shadow ability on this bar, and it does physical damage, hits pretty hard, stuns enemies if they're stealth, but it gives you that major fractile, so reducing their armor. Now, you're going to use this in PvP a lot, so it makes sense to just level this up, though you could go a bunch of different routes. When I get Mass Hysteria, I put that on there too, just to level it up. And I have two two-hander abilities. So Crit Charge is it's a gap closer. It's not as good as Ambush because it doesn't give you that empowering. But I still want to buy something. I'm not going to use Uppercut because Wrecking Blow is great for most of their builds, but for Nightblade I have Concealed Weapon, so why would I use that? I'm not going to use Reverse Slash because I already have a finisher, and my finisher self-heals me. So really, you're just buying these two, essentially, to unlock Rally. And that's all you're doing, is leveling that skill line up. And then another awesome ability is Siphoning Attacks, giving you resources on weapon attacks. So if you're weaving in between light and medium attacks, you're going to have tons and tons of resources. So this is how you get away with this build if you don't have a whole lot of champion points to constantly be casting over and over. So that's why getting that Siphon tree leveled up so early is valuable. And then I have Brawler still. That's my main AoE on here, but I'm really just using this as a finisher, critical charge, and then my assassination ability is Soul Harvest. Soul Harvest is great. Why? Because it's a healing debuff on PvP, which is great, but also every kill you get, you generate ultimate. So, going my back bar, Veil of Blades is one of the better ultimates in the game. You put something down, it has a synergy, but it's just damage reduction for you and your allies in a small circle. It's huge in PvE. Huge, 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 huge. Though, we're going to work our way towards the Mages Guild. Mages Guild 1, haven't collected any lore books. Because the Shooting Star Ultimate is still the top damage, even for stamina builds. But until we get there, Veil of Blades will work just fine. So that's what we're doing. You can see the thing here. We're just leveling our skill lines. We're getting health via Killer's Blade, but we don't need a whole lot because of Acid Spray is such a control mechanism. So I'll probably kill this guy right away, but let me just show you. Poison Injection, Acid Spray. Now look how slow he is. See how he gets near to me? Well, he doesn't even get near me because the dot ticks so hard. But I had Killer's Blade, dead. So play at a distance. Play at a distance. That's what bow's good for. Next part. Phase 3 is really where I'm playing catch up with my two-hander, because I've used bow most of the time, and now I have access to the really powerful self-heal and two-hander. Also, it gives you the major brutality, so it's your main bread and butter. Nice thing about this is it lasts 33 seconds, so you don't need to cast all the time. But I start using two-hander at this point more often so I can level up the skill line equally. So I still keep Crit Charge on there, I still keep Brawler on there, but I went a different route, and I use Sap Essence. So, Endgame, I'm probably not going to use this, but Sap Essence is a great self-heal. It gives you that spell damage, which you're not really too concerned about, but it's just basically a magic dump. It's a magic dump, and it still increases weapon damage, so you can use this over power extraction just as a buff. And that's why if you get this, you don't have to use two-hander any longer. You can go to dual wield if you like. But I still like Rally. I still really like it. There's also some tricks with the Khajiit to use Wrecking Blow from stealth to one-shot certain enemies. That's a little advanced. Don't need to worry about that right now. Still got Brawler for AoE, and I have good old Reaper's Mark. I'm going to explain how to use this in the next phase, but it is essential for massive damage, and I'm going to explain why. Last ability, still Veil Blades for a Shadow ability slotted, and then my bow, I still slot Rally too because I want to get that thing leveled up. I want to get it morphed so it gives me massive self-healing, and I want to rank it to 4 as soon as possible. Add another buff to the mix, which is from the Assassination Relentless Focus. This gives you a flat 8% damage increase. That's incredible. Basically, the only other way to get this is through like an ultimate and then also through Combat Prayer, Restorations Tree. So Nightblades have such an advantage. Plus, it gives you the minor buff of an increased damage generation. So right there, you have 30% stamina generation with those two. Yes. And then I have Soul Harvest because I want to level up the Assassination ability, Tree Line, because it has some of the best things in the game. Okay, so now let me show you what I beat Vet DSA with and what my bars look like. So yes, I'll prove it. We beat Vet DSA at VR1. It was very hard. Had a really, really, really powerful team. Thanks Psycho, Annie, and Neely. Appreciate that. So it is possible. And what I did is use this combination of skills and my gear I'll get to in a second. Reaper's Mark, we already talked about that. Poison Injection, Acid Spray, Lethal Arrow, Relentless Focus, Soul Harvest. Okay, so now how did I use it? Because that's the most important thing. First thing I do is, if you can, start in stealth with a big massive lethal arrow. It'll do tons of damage. Once you're out, then you get the poison injection dot on them, and you want to leave that dot on all times. It's 10 seconds. You're going to constantly refresh that. I'm going to AoE with Acid Spray, but it is a single target DPS loss, so you don't need to keep this dot up at all times. You basically need to keep poison injection. Once those dots are up, you're simply just doing Lethal Arrow over and over and over until this buff falls off, and Rally falls off. That's really all you gotta do. And then the Ambush In is just like a gap closer so I can get to the Killer Blade Execute. Sap Essence is nothing more than a magic dump. And then Brawler is a bubble oh crap moment thing, but not necessarily. Now people are wondering, Deltia, why don't you have the Fighters Guild Camel Hunter? The reason I don't is I don't have enough Fighters Guild. I don't have enough Fighters Guild to get Flawless Dawnbreaker. So yes, there's going to be an update to this as I level. But you can get this stuff early on and still be a productive DPS, being Met DSA. Yes, I was carried, but you still can do it. So essentially, the trick to using Reaper's Mark is that you don't need to use it on a boss. It reduces armor and spell resistance. That sounds great, right? But most tanks are going to use the Pierced Armor taunt from Sword and Shield, which does the exact same thing. So it's not going to stack. The way I use this is, just as the mob is about to die, I'll put a Reaper's Mark on him. Why? Major Berserker. Increasing your damage by 25% for 5 seconds. 25%, along with a flat 8%, along with more weapon damage, is just remarkable. So I am just a walking juggernaut at VR1. At VR14, the reason I made this build is because of Lady Ash and Ilum were ripping it so hard. I'm like, I have to play this again. I have to update. It was so fun watching them. I have not had so much fun playing this build in so long. I love it. And Specter is still my favorite build. I think it's all time. And so, I mean, it's just easy. You're really only keeping up a couple buffs. You're doing a Reaper's Mark as the bosses get low. I slotted Soul Harvest on here just so I can get ultimate for killing, and then execution phases to get low. That's it. Veil Blades, oh crap moments, and saving the tank and healer. It's that simple. So I know I haven't talked about much the skills. Let's talk about passives, gear, everything. Go. Say this twice. Don't get super concerned with gear at VR1, at level 30, at level 10. Don't get super concerned with gear. So, just so you know, at level 1, I have the exact same gear on from level 1 to VR1. No kidding. Grind it all the way. So what I recommend, till you hit VR1, you want to get traits like exploration or training so you can level up your medium armor as fast as you can. The best set I found, just combination wise, just leveling, not having to worry about gear, is a 5-piece Hunting's Rage for good weapon damage, and then a 2-piece Ashen Grip, or 3-piece, excuse me. So you're going to do like I did, the helm and the shoulders, Ashen Grip, and the weapon, and then everything else is Hunting Rage. That way you can look cool too, because look at this. Oh my god, I mean, that gear looks amazing. There's no one on planet Earth who can tell me that looks ridiculous. And if you say something in the comments, I'm deleting it. I'm just kidding. But anyways, not really. You do that. That's all you got to do. And then the jewelry, don't freak out and buy super expensive jewelry. Just get something with the robust. So stamina. So I have a weapon damage thing I found that's healthy. I have 2 stamina reduced cost, robust. That's it. It's not that difficult. Attributes. I know I'm going to get 15,000 attribute questions. Just do stamina. It's not a big deal because you can get health through your glyphs. I did buy some food. I recommend the buy stat food because you get more stats out of it. So with food up, everything, I'm sitting at 1700 weapon power and 49 stats into that, 22k, 17k. It's not that big of a deal. And then the Warrior Mundustone is really going to help out your DPS as well. So Alakir Desert's where I got mine. And then the AD one, I think, is in Malabator. Don't remember where the EP one is. So if you get anything from this, don't freak out about gear. I rock all medium. Because you want the extra regeneration. At Endgame, we're going to rock a very, very expensive Morag Song Hawkeye, but the DPS is absolutely absurd. Kitty. Also, you'll notice my kitty is not a vampire and he's not a werewolf. Because update 7, I'm not going to slot an ultimate or a vampire ability for PvE, so I did not take it. So you can do it if you want. If you want to use vampire and incorporate in your build, that's on you. This is what I recommended. Okay, let's talk about champion points and passives real quick, and then we're almost done. So if you're like me and you grinded really fast to get to this point, you're not going to have a whole lot of skill points. In fact, you got to be very choosy. So I'm not going to take all passives like I usually do until I reach endgame. I'm going to pick the ones that are super important. So if you have extra skill points, the one I would go for here is Hemorrhage. Increase critical strike damage. That is going to be amazing. Plus minor savagery, more crit. This is also going to be more crit. So crit goes awesome with the Khajiit. Why? The Khajiit's racial, the one you really, really want, is Carnage. Now, Stealthy is going to be amazing, especially in Dragonstar Arena. I just don't have the skill points to get it. Robust is going to get a fix to give you stamina generation update 7. That's going to be really nice. Okay, and then that's the assassination tree. Now, obviously, take everything if you have the skill points. In the Shadow, this is a must-have. Increase stamina recovery by 30%. It is getting a nerf to 15%, but it's still fantastic. The rest of them, not that big of a deal. Siphoning, you're going to want 2. Drinking a potion gets you ultimate, and then transfer. Using a siphoning ability is going to grant you ultimate. Why? If you're using sap essence, that type of thing, you're going to get ultimate really fast. Plus, this potion, this adds up to quick ultimates very, very fast. So that's why I take that sucker. And the weapons, I really only take this right away because I have so few skill points. But you're going to want to take this and Battle Rush. So, bow. These first 3 are utterly amazing, but if I had one to choose, it'd be Ranger. And then Long Shots gives you damage bonus for being away from enemies. The longer you are away, the harder you hit, which is another strength to this build, is you got to be really far back. So I just don't have any skill points, but you want to take this, you want to get more crit, and you want it to cost less. Obviously, these 2 are great. Increase damage when they're striking off balance or due to movement speed, great, but not necessary. So the first 2 are utterly invaluable. Windwalker, you got to get 2 pieces into here. That will help out your sustain so much. So if you're worried about sustain, check your Windwalker passive. Once I get that, I don't even do the dexterity. I wait for agility. Weapon damage increased by 12% using 5 pieces of medium or more. So you must have 5 pieces of medium. You can go 5, 1, and 1, a heavy, and a light. You can do 2 light if you want to cast a little more, but you need 5. And then in the guild, I don't have Fighters Guild leveled a whole lot, but you want this extra ultimate, and you want more damage against Undead or Daedra. Undaunted, we're going to level that up. Alliance War, not too concerned with it. In crafting, I will level up this medicinal use, because you want potions to last longer. We're going to be using those later on. But that's really it as far as passives. Champion points, we already talked about Thaumaturge, we talked about this. Split them evenly between Warlord and then Mooncalf. Let me see, Warlord's right. Yeah, reduce stamina cost of spells, or stam spells. Reduce this. Once I start PvPing, I'm going to do a little bit more into Tumbling, which is nice. And then I go straight 100 in here. And then once I get done there, I go a little bit in Mighty, a little bit in Piercing. I don't think Precise Strikes is working right now, so that's why I don't have any points into there. Though some people do like some in the Bow Expert to hit a little bit harder, but I think I can do that a little bit later. And then as far as these go, nothing's really that valuable for the build at the moment, but if you do 120 points in here, you get this Unchained, reduces stamina cost after breaking free. That's really, really nice. So that's why I go in here. There's probably a lot of better things to do with champion points like Quick Recovery, or maybe even Bastion to use Brawler, but that's all I did. And that's the build. Hope you guys liked this. I really enjoyed creating it and updating it. I will have a final version of it. I will also update my leveling guide as I progress with my Kitty Khajiit. I probably won't play my Imperial Templar so much until this guy's done, because I'm just having so much fun on it. I hope this was valuable, as I went a little bit more in depth than I usually do and didn't show combat as much, so let me know. And the reason I didn't show combat as much is I plan reviving Dungeon Diving series and bringing this guy back in it. Whether it's DSA, doing the new dungeons, doing some old ones, and then showing you exactly how I use the Specter as it's been revised. And show you that you can do stuff at VR1. Hell, we did Vet DSA. I mean, you can do stuff at VR1. You don't always have to be VR14 to do everything in this game. So, just practice. You want to get better at something, there's no secret to getting better. It's just practice. Do it. Ask other players. I'm constantly asking other players, hey, what'd you do? The most important thing is why. Why did you do that? Well, because this, that, and that. Okay. Learn from each other. Get a guild of like-minded people. Don't have one? Start one. Start all kitty guild. I don't know. You have to be a black cat. Why you gotta be black, bro? I'm just kidding. Don't take offense to that. Anyways, this is so much fun. If you've never played a Bow Khajiit, do it. A Bow Khajiit Nightblade is like the most fun. It's like fun on steroids. Play it. You will not regret it. I will have this updated build, PvE, PvP, hopefully before Update 7 comes out. Same thing with the Stam Templar. As far as the other builds, I will be working on. I'm not going to answer the question when they're going to be done. I don't have a timeline. Thank you so much for watching. Watch the leveling guides over this weekend, because they will be out.